Welcome to Aware and Awake. I'm Steve Lannon, and I'm here to share some wonderful things with you. So, if you've been asking yourself, what is going on in the world? What am I seeking that I'm not finding? Why am I feeling so anxious and fear? Why am I feeling like things are shifting? Well, it's because they are. So, this podcast, and specifically this episode, will introduce you to these new ideas, these new thoughts, and help fill in these gaps for you. Help give you the tools you need to understand this world, to understand yourself a little better. And so I'm excited to bring this to you. This is my very first recording, so please give me some grace. But this is my passion. I've been a consciousness explorer for some time now. And, my path has not been smooth or easy as well. A little bit about me. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I love helping people. I switched careers. I used to be in technology with a decently high-paying job with an institution here in Baltimore City. And so I'm excited to be giving more of myself back to the community. But this is part of my passion, is sharing this with all of you. Sharing why are we here? How does death work? Why do we come in? How do souls work? How do spirits work? All these things gathered from resources, not only from books, not only from podcasts and videos, but also just from resources from long ago. We have these resources on Earth, the pyramids, Tebekli. I'm gonna butcher this. Tebekli Tepe. We have these resources where things have been put in the earth and put on the earth for us to understand our true history, which all resonates with this reincarnation cycle, with how souls work. And what we've been taught in schools is not really what is. And so I'm here to help you understand that better. This is going to be a series of podcasts to help you understand more easily why we're here, how things work, and all the things that you weren't taught in schools, so we can better understand. Well, why are we not taught this stuff at schools? Well, because we're very much logically oriented. Science, math, the five senses. And, we don't really get into the metaphysical, even though there's so much out there that's showing us that the metaphysical is really something that's underpinning this whole reality. And so if we're ignoring something that's underpinning our entire reality, we're ignoring the paradigm of why we're here and how we operate and how things work. If we don't have an understanding of how things work, how are we supposed to thrive here and be here with our full selves? So this podcast is going to help explain some of those things, help bring you that wonderful peace and inner awareness. So if you're ready for this, buckle up, open your minds, and join me for this wonderful experience. A little bit about me. Okay, so I grew up in Maryland, Baltimore County specifically, in a rural part. Grew up in the woods, playing in the woods, pretty relatively normal childhood. I had my challenges, divorced parents and so forth. But you know what? I didn't find spirituality when I was young. Like some people had metaphysical experiences. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have a near-death experience. I had a pretty normal childhood in many ways. I was raised Catholic for a while until I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I told my dad, I don't believe in God. I became an atheist for many, many years, decades, in fact. And so, of course, he said, well, you have to get confirmed and then do what you want. So I got confirmed. and then I was an atheist, and I was thinking, okay, life is just what you can see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. And that's all it is. And then we live one life, and who knows what happens afterwards? Just empty blankness, you just disappear. It's a very bleak outlook. However, that's what I had for many years, because I didn't really think deeply about it. Well, as life goes, let's fast forward through my life. In 2017, I got pretty sick. I got bitten by a spider. And that spider bite did not make me into a Spider-Man. It did not give me superpowers, as much as beautiful as that would be. It really was the kick in the butt I needed to wake me up. I was sick for 3 to 4 years before I recovered. Didn't know if I was going to die, and didn't get answers from Western medicine. I sought answers from many different specialists. I had access to those, and I had money to pay for it where insurance wouldn't cover it. As we know, that doesn't happen too often anyway. And so I was able to get the top help from Western medicine, and I really wasn't getting answers. They didn't know what was wrong, and I was getting worse. And when that happens, you kind of stare death in the face, and you're like, okay, well, if I'm going to die, what am I not living for? What am I not doing in my life? What am I not, And so I made a bunch of changes in my life. while sick. I made a bunch of changes in my life, and they were hard and challenging, but they were really like, I'm not living my true expression of myself. And so I was pretty miserable with some of the pain and things. And I remember just around my birthday, which is in January, I was like, I need some help. And I was doing some searching online, and I found this retreat in Poland, 2 weeks away. And, had I was working a full-time job, and I was like, you know what, I can make this happen. So I found this retreat. I booked airfare, which happened to be more expensive than the retreat itself. Flew over to Czech Republic, got on a bus with a bunch of other people from all over the world, and we drove across the border into Poland. Bus promptly broke down in the middle of nowhere. It's like small, tiny road, 4 feet of snow on each side of the road, and it's really like a one-lane road. And we waited there for like 2 hours, getting a little cold, until they sent some cars to come get us. So we piled into these two cars, like it was like clown cars. We just piled in all of us into these two cars, and they took us to where else but Wim Hof's house. Yes, Wim Hof. If you know who Wim Hof is, you know what I'm talking about. So we had a retreat, and we stayed at Wim Hof's house. I think there was like maybe like 11 or 12 of us. And we went out every day, and we had no shirts on, just shorts. And we're walking around in the cold for cold exposure, getting in the water. Like, imagine waterfall with snow all over the ground, partially frozen over, pool below, and the waterfall, and we get into that water. And then we get out, and we teach ourselves to heat ourselves up before getting our clothes back on, before getting into heat. This was really mind-blowing to me. It opened my mind to what is possible. This is all the start of what happened for me. Everybody has a different story. But this opened my mind to, like, if we can heat our bodies just by thinking about it and breathing a certain way, what else can we do? And so going to that retreat, going through the cold exposure, the breath work, I was also able to have an emotional release. Through that breath work, I was able to have an emotional release, and I cried for like half an hour after that release, just letting go of all the medical stress I had been dealing with for a couple of years. And it was profound. It really felt powerful and like a massive shift for me. And so coming out of that retreat, I was like, I'm on a path. I'm going to start exploring some more. What did I do? I started meditating. Meditating was helping me step away from the pain, step away from the symptoms. And then one night I remember meditating, and I was just like, I'd like to have a new experience. I'm going to open myself to a new experience. No fear. And I feel protected. I feel good. And I open myself to a new experience. And so just like that, I had an experience of being a little girl in a different life on the coast of, like, the west coast of England. But I didn't know exactly where in the west coast of England, because there weren't maps at the time showing me anything. And I was this little girl, and I was in this, this place, very mundane details. And I was walking around this minor castle keep in this very kind of dreary place. And I died young. But all these details came in over the course of 15 minutes. And I got up and I journaled it all down. And I was like, what is this information? And where did this come from? And so next day I did a little research, said it's a spontaneous past life regression. Oh, so we've lived past lives. What's that all about? Okay, let's look into the reincarnation life cycle. So many things came up, and I started researching, reading books. I went and was meditating a few months later. I started feeling, I was kind of like playing with my hands, right? Yeah, don't get the wrong idea. I was playing with my hands, and I could feel like a magnetism between them. It was like when you take two magnets and you push them together and they want to push themselves back apart. I could feel that between my hands. And I was like, what is this? This is so interesting. Again, laying there meditating. It's night. I'm just like playing with this, whatever it is. And so I kind of let it go, fell asleep. Next day, woke up, look on Google again. And it says, hey, go check out Reiki. Go check out energy work. So I took a Reiki class. And what's the first thing they do in Reiki class? They start having us create energy balls with our hands. And it felt the same way. It was like, this is what I was feeling that night. Just this pressure. And why is this possible? I don't know, but it is. I could feel it. I could feel something tangible. So they taught us how to be conduits of energy, to bring energy in and give it to other people. Give it to other people so their bodies can use it for healing. So when somebody gives somebody Reiki, they're really just becoming a conduit for all the energy that's available out there. And they're letting that energy flow into this person. And that person's body and mind is deciding what to do with that energy once it comes into them. It's a beautiful process. I've given Reiki to many friends and family. It was not like a career track for me. It just felt like something I wanted to do. It's kind of like a hobby, but it's also an interest because it's energy work. I found that. And I realized, okay, wow, what else is possible? This is so much fun. We're like pioneers in consciousness. We've explored the oceans, we've explored the world. We've explored a little bit in space, not really much, but this is like a place where anybody can go pioneering. If you meditate a little bit or have some mindfulness, you'll be surprised at what you could find, what comes through into your mind once you're able to go into that deeper mind state. So I encourage you to practice some hypnosis or some meditation, or deep prayer if you're into a religion, and just see what comes to you once you blank your mind out or ask for things. It's a beautiful process. My point is, the reality of this world is not the reality of this world. This world is different than we think. It's different than we're taught. And this podcast is going to help explain those things, help explain what's really going on. The things that there's large groups of people that have figured this out, and more people are coming to this realization that we are all one. We are essentially all one being in a way. We are just different aspects of that being, unique fingerprints. So we're all like a unique fingerprint with a unique expression to bring into this world. And what we found is when we express ourselves genuinely with what we brought in, which is different from anyone else, any of the other 8 billion people here, when we express ourselves genuinely, we find more joy and fulfillment in our lives. We find more prosperity, more abundance, more love. And it's really what we're all here to do, is express ourselves without worrying, unapologetically, express ourselves safely. And my part of what I'm here to do is help you do that, is help you understand that, help you feel that you can do that. It's funny, about a year and a half ago, I was, I don't know why I did this. I do weird things sometimes, but I went outside and I put my earpods in or whatever, and I was listening to music, and I was just like, I'm going to dance. Like, I put on some dance music, and I don't really listen to dance music that often, but I was like, sure, I'm just going to dance. And I was dancing while walking around Baltimore City. And I was like, this is so silly, but you know what? I'm going to step into, I don't care. This is fun, and I'm having a good time. And I did that. And what happened? I was thinking, okay, are people going to make fun of me or whatever? I don't, whatever. I'm walking around. People were like, get it, dude. And they were like, yeah. People were waving and I was smiling. They're smiling. The love was just there. It doesn't matter who I ran into. I ran into all different people in their cars. They were honking, saying hi. People walking was smiling and just like, get it, do you. It was so awesome. It was just like I was being rewarded by the universe for stepping into my authentic expression. I had 0 negative experiences in that hour plus long walk where I just danced the whole time. It was so much fun. I haven't done it since because I haven't felt called to it, but I know if I did, I'd have the same experience. People would love it. People would feel that. I would be an inspiration. It wouldn't be somebody to make fun of. It's somebody who's inspiring. And that's how this world works. I want to let you know, do that weird stuff that you like to do, as long as it's not hurting anyone else. And if it is, that's not your truest expression. That's something convoluted by perhaps traumas or hurts or lack of love. But when you truly express yourself with love and unity, you'll be amazed at the response you get. You'll be an inspiration. You'll be a trendsetter in a way. And so do that. Follow your heart. This is the way things work. And so we're going to get into all sorts of fun topics here. This is going to be a really fun podcast. I'm so excited to do this, to share it with you. My partner Morgan is going to be joining me sometimes for some of these episodes because she's into this stuff too. And we love talking about this. When we take walks, we're just talking about this stuff constantly. It's so exciting to understand some of the things that have come through. So just to excite you, I've read a lot of books from Dolores Cannon, Brian Weiss, Michael Newton. These are hypnotherapists that have taken people back into past lives. Again, we don't know how it works or why it happens. We just know that it's possible. And when they've done this, they've brought forth information that we wouldn't normally have. Information about how it works on the other side. What happens before we come in. Why we pick our parents and how we pick our parents. As much as triggering as that may be for some people, let it be triggering. You might have needed to learn a certain lesson. Think about what your parents meant to you, whether it was challenging or easy or somewhere in between. Think about that. Think about how that could have been for you in some way. And consider that, because that could be a perception you've never had before. We pick our parents. When we die, what happens? When you become a soul again, what happens? What happens on the other side before you, there's learning, there's understandings. The life review at the end of your life, where you go through and kind of see what you did really well, how you shifted people in ways that were positive and loving, and how you might be able to improve, how you might have, shifted people in the other way, or given people a negative experience. These are all things that are going to come through in this podcast. So buckle up, get excited. This is just episode 1, and we're going to break it down so it's sequential. So you watch episode 1, then you watch episode 2, I watch episode 3. I'm going to walk you through this so that it's easily something you can pick up each episode, and something that's going to add to the episode before without getting too overwhelming. So if you get overwhelmed, I recommend you just rewatch an episode until it feels right, or go find some other resources. Or if it doesn't feel right, don't watch, don't listen. If this is not right for you, please do not tune in. This is not for you. I don't want you to be consuming it. So listen to your heart, listen to your instinct, and listen to your soul. Excited to go on this journey with you all. Thank you for being here, and let's do it. Let's make this world a beautiful place full of love, harmony, unity. Let's shift the vibration here. It's already shifting. We're going to be along for the ride, or we're going to be left behind. So let's shift with it. Let's bring our hearts. Yeah, let's make our decisions with our hearts. Let's walk our thoughts through our hearts before we speak, before we interact with people, before we make decisions. Use your instinct. Your instinct is really never wrong. Your instinct, people only think their instincts are wrong because they out-logic it. But when you add logic to your instinct gets convoluted, and it's not truly your instinct. So just know that when that little voice says, don't cross the street, and then it looks like everything's clear, and then you see the bus come along, coming along really fast that you didn't see somehow, well, that's your instinct. But when you second guess and you go back and forth, that's your logic mind trying to make sense out of it, which we really can't make sense out of instinct, because instinct is just innate. It's just built in, and it's the first thing you think of, because there's no thinking about it. There's no processing. It's just there. It's just there, and it's something that's this energy. It's this force that wants the best for you. It wants the best for all of us. And so the more we follow our hearts and instincts, the more we're going to live together in this world in love and harmony, and create a paradise on earth, which is really where we're headed. So get ready, have fun, and I cannot wait to see you for episode number 2.